You're watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
Hello and welcome to All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral, with me, Lynsey Hipgrave, and you, Joe Cole. Good to see you, Joe.
Good to see you, Lyns.
And you've got something in common with today's guest. Apart from playing for England, along with Ed and David Miliband, Steve McFadden, aka Phil Mitchell, and Dan Woodgate, the Madness drummer.
Yeah, it's an eclectic bunch. We all went to the same school, so, I mean, most footballers, if you get to play for your country, you get to boast you're probably the best player to play for your school. Now, I'm not even the best player who wore number 11 for England and played on the left midfield, because we got the absolute governor here, JB, top rapper, top player, one of the greats, one of my favourite players.
Please, no, honestly, more.
It sounds like some sort of fame academy, this school, John.
Well, no, because football has changed, hasn't it? Because, of course, I played on the left because I was left-footed. But Joe liked to cut in and score, didn't go down the line and put too many crosses in. He played at a much better time than I did, though. You know, once the 100 grand a week came into football. So.
John becoming an absolute icon of football, an international regular over a decade for England, representing England at 2 World Cups and the European Championships, a scorer of one of the most iconic England goals ever scored, and in 2016 voted England's greatest ever left-footed player, John. It can only be...
They never had many.
Well, actually, you beat the likes of Waddle,
talking about my international
Pierce.
career, to be honest with you, because I'm not sure whether I was legally allowed to play for England, to be honest with you, because
really?
I had as I said, I came when I was 13. I had a Jamaican passport.
Yeah.
You know, so we didn't emigrate. So I wasn't a British citizen. And obviously, when I became 17, my mum and dad went back and I started playing for Watford. Then when I was 18, England said, "Do you want to play for England?" And I still had a Jamaican passport. So when I started playing for England, I played for the England at 19. For the first year I was playing for England, I never had an English passport. I had a Jamaican passport. And then when we used to go to Russia, all of these countries in Eastern Europe, and we got England blazers on, and then we got there, the team. Because we went on a normal plane. We didn't have we just went on a normal plane. We didn't even go club. So just a normal plane with people. I had to get in the queue where the other people were in their British passports. And the England team would all be on the coach waiting, and I'd be behind. And they were like, "Well, you play for England. You got your thing on, and you got a Jamaican passport." So I'll be there for hours waiting, and the players are like, "Barnsey flipping got stuck again behind them." And then all of a sudden, a passport arrived on my doorstep. I don't remember filling any forms in. So I still think I'm a bit of an illegal alien, to be honest with you. So after Brexit, I'm a bit worried, to be honest with you. You know, when it's the Windrush generation sending people back, I'll maybe one of them.
John, let's talk Euros.
Let's get off that subject.
We're heading into the final round of games in the groups. What have you been making of the tournament so far?
I love it. It's incredible. At first, when you're talking about 3 teams going through, I wasn't a big fan, because in a group of 4, how can 3 teams go through? But what it's done, it's made everyone realise you win a game, you get 3 points, you can go through. As even Denmark now, they've lost 2 games, they can go through. Yeah. So it's made everybody attack. So all of the games have been so attack-minded. Even the so-called underdogs are still attacking. So it's been fantastic.
Do you like the fact that we can... 4 the third place teams are going through, or do you think it's just makes it a bit too easy?
I like the fact that there's more teams attacking. Yeah. I like that. I like the fact that we're going to the last day and nearly everybody's going to have a chance of going through. I like that. But maybe it's my OCD. I don't like not knowing who England are going to get in the next round. Like, usually it's going to be that one or that one. As a player, you could be, and especially with it being in different countries, you could be playing at home at Wembley, you could be in Rome, you could be in Baku. You don't know where you're going in 4 or 5 days' time. So I think as a coach, it might be more difficult to prepare, but as a fan it's great because everyone's thrown for. Like I said, Denmark, what a story that would be. They go and get a win and go through with everything that's happened to them as a group.
Yeah.
Where have you been watching the games?
Mainly at home. I've been a little bit of in Shepherd's Bush, funny enough. I'm doing a bit of work for Mola, which is Indonesian TV. Yeah. So I've been doing 3 or 4 games there, but more often than not just at home watching them. But they've been really good. I mean, since obviously lockdown in the last year, it's been, everybody's being at home. But we've got used to that, haven't we? Doing Zooms and doing stuff. Yeah. So I've actually done a couple of games from home with Zooms, with fans and with different groups. And in fact, I had a nice one, actually. The other day, what game was it? In fact, was it the England-Scotland game? Yeah, it was, actually. I had to go to... And this is the way modern football is now, Joe. It's unbelievable. Before you had to go to the stadium where there are corporate dues that you go to. Agent just phoned me up and he goes, go to this person's house. It was in Burton on Trent.
Yeah.
And I'm driving around looking for, and it's just this little house, and he got his mates, so there's about 30 of them, and they all clubbed together. I mean, that's how cheap I am, obviously, these days. So it didn't cost them too much for John Barnes to come to their house, just had a few drinks and watched the game, and then drove home after.
But there's all sorts of things popping. I remember just before, I had a funny one offered. A Sunday League, someone asked me, would I like to come and play for their Sunday League team? Apparently there's a company now where you can go and get ex-players. So say all your mates chip in and go, we want John Barnes, Chris Waddle, Joe Cole, come and play for you on a Sunday. Now, I don't need paying to play football. I'll play for anyone on a Sunday. But
You'll just rock up.
No, I need paying, Joe. I need paying. It's all right.
It's like you can get people to do happy birthday on your phone and pay them. So this is like the football version of that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cash in.
Yeah, I know.
You've got to be careful with these Zooms, though, haven't you?
You have to. I'll tell you, because the taxman finds out. Sorry, did I get
We did one with Joe the other day. I had to tell him to move the washing from behind the shot.
Well, that's worse than that, if you can see on some of the Zooms, I can tell you. We won't mention that here. They've all been on the internet where you see people doing all kinds on Zooms because they forget that
Do you know what my kids done to me? So I was doing something for BT in the first lockdown, and I didn't have a Scooby what was going on.
I remember this.
I'm doing it live broadcast, and my kids just come on, just turn the lights out, laughing their heads off. So I'm there talking,
it's
breaking down the attacks, pitch black, and I'm just and I couldn't really shout them as much as I wanted to shout them because I didn't want the people at home to know that I'm a bit of a
strict father.
Yeah. So I was like, please turn the lights back on, children.
You'd have done more than shout at them, though, Joe.
Actually, if I'd done that to my dad, mate, it would have been game over, I tell you.
So which teams have surprised you so far, John?
I don't think anybody's really surprised me, to be honest with you, because the Euros, in many respects, is much harder than the World Cup. Because when you're talking about, first of all, to qualify for the Euros, you've got to be a good team. So there are no easy games. Because even if you want to look at the Ukraines and whoever you want to talk about, whichever team you want to talk about and think that they're the whipping boys, that they aren't. The team that's really surprised me from a negative point of view has been Turkey.
Yeah.
Turkey, because Turkey are a good team and they've got good players. So for them to, have gone through and lost the games that they've lost. And,
already out.
I've been surprised at that.
The first game, John, against Italy, I backed Turkey's dark horses. I thought they'd do well. But fitness-wise, something was that Italy just run over him in the first game.
I mean, Italy are such a good side that, of course, I was surprised at that because Italy don't normally score goals anyway, but this Italian team are. Yeah. But then the second game against Wales, that was where I really expected Turkey, especially back who were really hot, for them to put on a good strong. Wales were easily the better team. I'm glad, but Turkey from a negative point of view have surprised me.
Who are you backing to win the whole thing?
France.
Did you watch the Germans the other day, though?
Yeah, the Germans are good, but France have got such a good balance in terms of you look at the back four and they're quick, they're strong, the three midfield players, and the way that Pogba plays for France is different to the way he plays for Man United. He's much more disciplined. He works hard for the team. He doesn't show off. He doesn't do flicks. He doesn't mess around. And then you look up front, and the biggest compliment I can play them is that because they aren't playing as attractive football as Belgium going forward and flair or whatever. But you look at how hard Griezmann works. The traces back, Mbappe. And Benzema, they all work hard for the team. It seems that when they play for France, they remind me of Brazil of the old days, where the most important thing for a Brazilian footballer was playing for Brazil. Never mind to play and make loads of money in Europe. They would go back to play for Brazil against Mongolia. And this French team, you look at the players, when they play for France, they play properly, they play with discipline, they play with humility. When they play for their clubs, they're superstars and start flicking and messing around. But
apart from Kante.
Not exactly, because that's the kind of player he is. But Pogba is just so disciplined when he plays for them. And you saw the game against Belgium in the World Cup, and Belgium complained because we had 65% possession, we were playing all the football, but France were just so strong that they're physically strong. And even the game the other day, if you want to fight them, you can't. They're so physically strong and they've got good players. So France...
Do you think the Hungary result was just a blip for them?
Yeah, I do. And I agree with John. I think they're the team. I think from a coach's manager's perspective, you think, how can we beat them? Where's the weakness?
Yeah.
Say you play against Belgium, you might think... could get out all the welder here a little bit,
And Vertonghen, they're not quick at the back.
So you can maybe suck them in and you can... But against France, you're like that. They're big, they're strong, technically unbelievable. They've got superstars, they work in hard. So it is tough. But do you reckon, I was going to ask you, if you're Ole at home watching Pogba, Harry performs for France, would that frustrate you a bit as a manager, John?
It would, but it happens a lot here in this country whereby I think in England we overemphasize the importance of the individual and we then praise the individual when they do special things. So therefore, even if you look at the England national team, in terms of our solution to any problem is to get more number 10s on. So get Grealish on and then put Foden and then put Sterling, and they're the ones to perform. Yeah. Whereas we don't have the right balance in terms of the back and the midfield, in terms of having good, strong defensive midfield players. And so I just feel that at Man United, particularly now with Ole, because that's why for me, you'd expect that from Man City, because that is Pep Guardiola's philosophy. That's the way we play. Now for Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp isn't going to have that. Now I think Pogba is a better player than, individually, than Jordan Henderson or any other. But what he wants from his team in midfield is hard-working players. So I understand what you're saying in terms of frustration, but I think Man United have created these things where Man United, so we want Fernandes and we want Pogba and we want him to do special things. But if Pogba was to play for Man United the way he plays for France, they would be such a better team.
But then was it not the same thing where in the first game he was exceptional and then not so good in the second game, and it's just that same
But even if he's not good, he
inconsistency.
still gives 100% tackling effort. That game, in the second game, the physicality of the game, because you expected Hungary to get stuck in there at home, they're going to go out. But France, 50-50s, they're chasing back, they were fighting, and of course they took over in the second half. Because the thing about France is that you can see them not playing particularly well, because they never outplayed Germany either. But you know that they're not going to concede, and they're strong and they're physical. Whereas with England, we play well and we win. And if we don't play well and teams attack us, because if Scotland are going to create that many chances against us, when, with all due respect, Scotland or Belgium or France, so when we play against better teams, we will have a problem.
A huge blow for Scotland as well. We should say they obviously need to beat Croatia to get through. But Billy Gilmour, who was man of the match against England on his first start for Scotland, has tested positive for COVID also. So he's going to miss that. That's a massive loss.
It's a massive blow. I mean, like I said, Billy was at Chelsea when I was there, when I went back and done my coaching, and what a lad. What a lad, John. Like he came into. I remember walking. Well, there's a little room at Chelsea with the academy where the lads can go in and they get their clips on the computer. They watch their clips, or they can go in there and type in Cesc Fabregas or something. And I go in there mornings, and he'd be in there by himself watching his clips, go and do his training, professional, but with so much talent.
You sure he was watching those clips, Joe? I mean,
I checked. He was definitely watching them clips. Okay. There's strict guidance in that building of what you can and can't watch. I've tried.
Well, the Coral odds to win the tournament, France are 7-2, Germany 11-2 after they turned up on Saturday night, and Belgium 13-2. What have you made of England's performances so far, though, John?
I think England's performances have been probably as I expected, because I've always felt for years that England on their day can beat anybody, and that they rely on the individuals to do well, and they've got good enough individuals to on their day beat anybody. But then all of a sudden, if the individuals don't perform, the team pattern, I don't still see a pattern in whether we're going to play 3 at the back, whether we play 5 at the back, whether we're going to play with Jack Grealish as opposed to Mason Mount. Mason's more of an attacking midfield player who'll come back and help the other two, whereas Jack Grealish. And until you defend the method of how to play, you're always going to rely on individuals to perform. And as to whether they perform well or not from week to week, it changes. Whereas if you saw against Germany, they perform the same way all the time. They haven't got great individuals. Serge Gnabry, who can even play for Arsenal, he's playing for them because he fits into the system. So that is why England have got a great chance, because on any given day, they can perform well. And of course, with us, it's either all or nothing, isn't it? So after beating Croatia, who aren't a great team because of the age of the players, we were fantastic. Then against Scotland, we're now in the doldrums. So England will go through, and I think that we can get to the semi-finals. On our day, we could beat anybody, but we don't know how we're going to perform.
And one player who hasn't performed is Harry Kane. He's been pretty anonymous in those first 2 games, but Southgate has come out and said he is going to start against the Czech Republic, which is a massive vote of confidence.
I'm not surprised he's going to start Lynsey. And now I've digested Harry's performances, and also when you think about the season he's had, top goal scorer, top assist maker in the Premier League, really carried that Tottenham team. You know, his teammates didn't do enough for him this year, but I'm not surprised Gareth has played him, and I think it's the right decision. And I think he's doing it early, I think, is enough, because Harry, this is the first time, which I said the other day, the first time in Harry's career since he was trying to find his feet and he was going on loan to Millwall later on, where there's question marks on him. You know, for whatever, rightly or wrongly, people are questioning, does he start, or do we go and put Calvert-Lewin in, or do we put Rashford in, or do we play Grealish as a false 9? So, knowing him, the little I do know him as his character, I think he'll respond. I think he'll hit the back of the net on Tuesday night. We'll go through, and then the tournament starts for England, and the tournament starts for Gareth. And I'm pleased with us keeping the 2 clean sheets. But I think if we do play against any of them teams you mentioned, Belgium, France, Germany, Portugal next round, I think going to the back three centre halves. I think we're going to have to do that against the big boys, because I just think we're not flowing in that 4-3-3. You know, we're sort of caught between two jumps.
Yeah,
like
we are.
Are we attacking team or are we a defensive team?
I think the problem Harry's been having is, if you look at the way his game has evolved for Tottenham, is that he has played as a number 10 as well as scoring goals. Yeah. So what has happened, the way they played either with Sissoko and, you know, whoever else in midfield or hard-working midfield players, Harry has been the number 10, false 9, creative player, and he creates for Son. He comes deep and he gets involved because the team doesn't have anyone else to do that. Now, when he plays for England, where you really want him to stay up front and score goals, because you've got Mount and you've got Sterling and you've got, you know, Dreel and you've got all of these other players, him coming to get involved in that play, in fact, he's not getting in the right positions, because you've got Sterling coming in and you've got Mount, you've got, you know, Grealish or whoever else, and then Rashford.
Is he doing it because he's not getting the right service?
Well, no, he's doing it because that's how he's played for Tottenham all year. And now playing for England, he's doing the same thing. And for him to do that, that's not necessary. That's why I'm saying you have to have the right players in the team for him. So when he does it for Tottenham, he is the most creative player. So there's no point having Harry doing that for England when you're going to have a Mount, you're going to have a Grealish, you're going to have a Foden. Everybody, and they're doing it. So then what is Harry doing? So I think having that right balance for Harry, whereas before for England, what he was doing was just staying up front and finishing things off. So I think the Gareth have to go. But I agree with Joe in terms of the further you go, we'll then have to be more solid, because even when we had two holding midfield players against France, and we thought the solution was to not have two holding midfield players against Scotland. Scotland created 4 or 5 chances with us having two holding midfield players. So the solution isn't to take one of them off and put another striker on, is to be stronger defensively. So I don't think that the way England is playing at this moment really suits Harry. And Harry has evolved as a player either. I just want him to just stay up front, because, you know, crosses coming in, corners, that's what he does.
Can you see similarities with Gary Lineker in '86? He was anonymous the first couple of games, and then it was when Beardsley came in, it started to click, and he went and won the Golden Boot,
That's the similarity. That's the only similarity, because Gary's not coming back into his own and have to do anything to create or control the ball or chase defenders. So.
But could Grealish be that Beardsley player to give him that service?
Then Harry then just has to say, I'm going to stay up front and score goals. But is Harry doing that? Because it seems to be now he likes to come into different positions, because that's what he's been doing all year for Tottenham. Yeah. He runs around a bit more than Gary. I wouldn't be as unkind to Harry to say that. I hope Gary's not.
Do you feel like it's just a matter of time for him, though?
Yeah, listen, you know, form's temporary, class is permanent. The old saying, like, listen, Harry Kane has not become a bad player in the last 2 weeks. He's had a couple of indifferent games in a team that wasn't quite clicking. The rhythm wasn't there. So no question marks, Harry Kane plays, and he plays, but he needs the bright players around him. I think Raheem's very important to him. Raheem playing off the left, I think, is more effective. And if you say, I think Raheem's caught up as similar to like what he's asked to do for Man City when he plays. I think for England, I think they really need to work on together. Like, Raheem's almost got to be the 9, like a 9 off the left. Keep making them runs in behind to allow Harry to find the little pocket and get turned into a shot. And what's the only thing that's concerning me with Harry, and there was one point in the game where he's come inside on his left foot, John, don't even remember it, and for Spurs, he hits it. Yeah. And there was a split-second doubt. And that's confidence, that's in his head, you know, like the weight of the thing. So he needs a tap-in Tuesday night.
Maybe he's just distracted trying to keep up with the Spurs manager, Chase.
Well, you know what he needs? He still needs people to create for him. Now, the problem, I think, with Raheem this season is that because kind of Foden has kind of take over for him. When he played for England now, he feels that he then has to show his worth and his value. He has to just beat players. Because I remember once against, and it went out on one of these things on the phone, whereby he should have played the ball out for the right for the cross to come in, and he kept trying to beat the player. And he thinks that for me to now show my worth and my value to the team, that's what I've got to do. That's not helping Harry. It's more about either Harry getting it and you running off the ball for him to play you through, or when you get the ball, playing it for Harry for score, whereby when you have so many players dribbling, that doesn't help Harry. That's why I always felt that if you're going to play with Rashford and Sterling and Kane up front, the best person to be playing as a number 10 wouldn't necessarily be Foden or Mount. For me, it would have been Maddison from Leicester. But Maddison, the way he plays with Vardy, he's looking for these runs, he's looking to be creative. Whereas a lot of the England attacking players now are dribblers. You know, so they're looking to dribble, which really doesn't help Harry. That's why I'm saying the balance for me that doesn't necessarily, particularly the new Harry who wants to come and be like a number 10. So I'm not sure whether that's going to work until Gareth then says, this is how we're going to play, we're going to stick with it, which will help Harry, because we just keep chopping and changing.
Of this current crop, who would you have liked to play with in a forward line?
No, John. John's left. Say John's playing left of a three.
Of a front three.
Yeah.
Who would you like in and around you to get the best out of you in this team?
Well, the thing about it is, if you look at the front three apart from Harry, they're all similar in terms of want to dribble with the ball. So if you look at, and Mason Mount I like, because Mason dribbles, but he also looks to play. But if you look at Rashford, if you look at Sterling, and if you look at even Foden, there's no point me being there because I'm going to be like them wanting to dribble all the time and there's only one ball. You know what I mean? That's why I love playing with Peter Beardsley and Ray Houghton because they would play for me to do what I do.
Yeah.
We can't just have everybody who's a dribbler in the team, and I think we've got too many of them. You know, because when Rashford gets the ball, he's going to dribble. When Sterling gets the ball, he's going to dribble. Foden for Man City is different because he plays in a team that passes the ball a lot. But even for England, he's looking to dribble a lot. Then add Grealish to that, and you got them all on the pitch. There's only one ball, and all of them are the similar types of players. So, I think out of all of them, probably. I mean, what is Mason? I mean, Mason is an attacking midfield player, but he'll come back and defend.
Yeah,
I like him. If you're going to play three in midfield and you've got two holding midfield players-ish, I would always have Mason Mount.
Yeah, Mason's for me. Mason's either going to play midfield only because I'd have to get attacking players in the team. So I'll play Mason and Declan in there. Three centre-halves behind them if we're playing the big guns, whether it be Harry, Stones, Mings or Kyle Walker. Three of them four. So and I'll have two full-backs. So I think I'll be solid enough to allow Mason to play in a neck to deck.
Because he will get back defensively as well.
Mason
will.
Mason's fan off the ball. You speak to Frank about him, Gareth, and the standout thing with him, forget all the ability, is he's so intelligent. You can play him. That's why he loved him. You can play him off the left, off the right, midfield. You know, if they're holding the game, he did the right thing. He always did the right things. He's just a good, well-schooled footballer.
Yeah.
Would you have liked to play in this England side?
Oh, I'd love to have played. Nobody can touch you now, can they? Do you know what I mean? Like I watched Jack the other day, and Jack wasn't at his best when he come on, but he won 5 free kicks by just getting his body in.
Yeah, and somebody brushed it down.
Did you see what Stephen O'Donnell said about
Yeah, that was brilliant.
He's
I love that.
basically, John McGinn was giving him tips on how to get to him, and he said, just don't slag him off, don't be nasty to him, or he'll really relish that.
Yeah.
Just compliment him. So he was telling him, I love your hair, you've got lovely calves and things like that.
He has got lovely calves.
I don't know about but they're massive. Is that size important? I don't know, but I mean, they're big.
He's like, do you remember Popeye's arms?
I know,
he's got them on his calves.
Yeah, and he keeps his sock down there.
What was like the weirdest thing that happened to you on a pitch with opposition players trying to put you off? Do you have any unusual ones like that?
Oh, that's a good question, Liz. And nothing really. No, Dennis Wise, we used to just like.
I can't imagine he was complimenting you.
No, he wasn't. We had a right good go, me and Dennis. And Dennis was one of my heroes. Like, I had him a poster and I'm playing against. He was playing for Leicester, and he was going to.
And because you're the same size, though.
Yeah. He was going, and he just never stopped talking to me. You're bloody errors. And it was a lesson learned. It never happened again. I had a bad game because he went, oh, you can't. I passed one out of play, and he went, no, you can't pass the ball. You can't. I thought you was a good player, and I'm like, shut up. And I'm growling at him, and he's saying, and then I got into bed. Then I tried to dribble him all the time through the middle. So then he's in my head. I'm trying to do something different. They beat us 2-0, and then after the game, I could have kicked myself, but it never happened again. If anyone tried to give me verbals. But once, Dennis got him made,
Did anyone get in your head, John?
Oh, no, because when I played, obviously I'm playing before him, they're just trying to break your leg. Never mind talking and trying to get in your head, they're trying to get in your body. That's what.
None of that protection from the referee.
You didn't need that. You didn't need that talking because, they're just, and because the referee just be like, I always felt, and it was so strange because it was a given that the first 5 minutes, anything goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it'd be like,
prison rules.
So if you try to take somebody's gallbladder out in the first 2 minutes, no matter what it was, the referee just go, all right, now don't do that again. I said, don't do that again. You should be off the pitch, but they just allowed it.
I know.
So there were never any verbals. But with Dennis, what Dennis used to do a lot as well, you see, because after he kicked you, and he does it all the time, he would pick you up to say sorry, but he'd pinch you. So that you wouldn't get sent off. So Dennis was always doing things like that.
No one had a little nibble. We saw that, didn't we, in the tournament?
Yeah, Pogba. Rudiger, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I thought that was just a joke, wasn't it? He, because of course he was saying he's messing around. So I don't know.
You couldn't call it a bite, could you? It wasn't a Suarez bite. Definitely not.
It wasn't. Suarez had a right nibble, didn't he? Yeah. He's got previous as well.
You're watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
Tuesday. This is why you love international football. Thursday, the best ever goalless draw. Saturday, these guys might be underdogs, but you wouldn't miss this match. Every match day matters. So every time you collect 3 match day stamps, you get a £5 free bet. Match day rewards from Coral.
How do you think England are going to do against the Czech Republic then?
Well, with England, the problem with England, you just really don't know. They could be brilliant or they could be average. You know, if you look at Germany and France, it doesn't matter whether they play well. You can see the performance. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's up there, sometimes it's down there, a bit above. But with England, I felt that after the Croatia game, you know, that they were going to go on. And of course, then we saw the Scotland game. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're going and they play really well. I don't think they'll ever be terrible. But I think they
a
start
draw could be better, couldn't it? It could work out better in terms of the next
round. But the thing
round.
about it is that when we talk about things like that, this is us sitting on the outside thinking, looking at it tactically. When you're out on the pitch, you try and do as well as you can.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do? Is pick
can't go
a
play
goal
for a draw, can you?
Play for a draw because Harry Kane's going to miss a goal to be 0-0. You know what I mean? And Pickford's going to let one in because we're going to draw 1-1. So you don't know. So you go and you play. You always just have to play and let the cards lay where they fall, regardless. Because you know in the next round, listen, it's going to be a hard game, whoever you get.
Do you think they'll win it, Joel?
Yeah, I do. I think they'll win it, and I think John's right in the sense that the lads. There's no way the lads can go out there and play for a draw. Like you're gonna do your job, and then deal with whatever happens afterwards. I think he may as well now. I think go back to his tried and trusted the back three, which I thought he was going to start with at the tournament, and build for this game in that, because I think we're going to beat Czech Republic whether we play 4 or 3. But I think if we went to a 4 and we had to play Spain, if we get Spain or a France or a Germany, then I think we'll be in trouble. So I think if he gets a game tactically doing that, win the game, go through, and you're going to have to play them at some point. So let's just do it now.
I don't know why we keep doing this every tournament that comes up, because even leading into the tournament before the last game, we're experimenting with formations and systems and styles. We play 3 at the back, 4 at the back. Then in the tournament, we thought about, shall we play 3, shall we play 4? We should have this already embedded in us 5 games before the tournament starts. And then if we play well, or different players have to come into that system.
Yeah.
But to even now talk about, are we going to play 3 because the 4 hasn't worked? And if the 4 works, we don't play 3. You don't do that in tournaments.
Those friendly games in the way we wanted to because of the Champions League final. It's almost
no, not personnel. I'm talking about the way we play.
Yeah.
Because nothing to do with the personnel at all.
Do you know, my template for Gareth would have been, and it was close, before he changed it for the Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, my template would be that, because I think we got the personnel to do it. I think I watched what game did I watch where it was, who was playing with a 4 against a 3? And I just think, in the way that modern players are, I think it suits things go in cycles. And I think at the moment it seems to be in vogue to play that back 3 and back 5, and then it's a 3 effectively when you got the ball. And I think you got Reece James and Chilwell. Yeah. Who know the system.
Germany did it really well, didn't they, with Gorson?
No, but Germany played that way. Germany played that way all the time. Now, why Gareth really should have done that, in my opinion, because he's got adaptable players and he's put them in a team. Because Kyle Walker can play right side of a 3, centre back, or he can play right side of right wing back with someone inside him. Reece James can do that. Ben White coming, he can put him as a holding midfield player. So you got players who are adaptable. But then if you then have a system to say either we play 4 at the back or 3 at the back, the players can fit into that, rather than just keep. So even changing the players is not that important, because they can understand the system but stick with the same system, and those players can fit into that. That's why Ben White got in the team. He could be as a holding midfield player in a back 4 or a back 3. But I think it's important for him to say, and I think you're right, he should have just said, we're going to play 3 at the back, because you got so much adaptability with all of them, and we're going to stick with that, and the players have to fit into that.
Well, England are 8-13 favourites with Coral to beat the Czech Republic. And if you think Patrick Schick is going to continue on his fine run of goal-scoring form, Coral will give you odds of 300-1 for a Schick hat-trick in that one. So let's hope not.
A what hat-trick?
Patrick Schick.
Oh, Schick hat-trick. Oh, sorry. But it's never been a Schick hat-trick. If you score 3 goals, it's never Schick, I can tell you.
It's the other.
Joe, if you score a goal, it's a goal, mate. You don't score Schick goals, do you?
No, you don't.
They do, though, John, seem really united, don't they? That's the one good thing about this England side. But was it always like that when you were heading into major tournaments?
Absolutely.
When you played?
Absolutely. I don't know whether, obviously, I finished in 95, just before 96, and I don't know whether between maybe 96, 97, 98 and then 2005 or whatever, I'm not sure whether you then had because of course we're only going from what we see in the newspapers about cliques and stuff like that, but I never had that when I played. With Robson and people like that, there were no cliques at all.
Do you know?
And I can't imagine, and I think that's a lot of paper talk actually when people talk about cliques because of either Beckham and Man United and Liverpool. I never felt that, certainly in my time. I don't know because Joe played in that period when he had that clique.
Or was it just
paper talk? At the time, it's anything. You're born into something. I come into the England squad in '99. I think it was 99. I come in my first squad and there was the Manchester United players. Your Scholes, Beckham, Butts, Neville brothers, a couple of others. The Liverpool players effectively at the time, and so it was always separate. And it was just normal because that's what I come into. So I went, all right, I sit with the rest. I was with the rest because I was at West Ham. From the 2000s, it was us or Chelsea or Manchester United vying for trophies, and the games, Liverpool as well. So we ended up having, looking back now, we wasn't as united as we could have been. Now, because there was groups of look, we went out on the pitch, we've done our best, but there was something in the air. Off the pitch where we wasn't as together as we could have been. And now Sven was a manager, and Sven had some fantastic
that down to him to try and bring everyone together, or the players? Do you think?
I'm thinking now, looking back as an ex-player now, looking back, possible going into coaching and management, how they didn't address it, or they didn't seem to try and address it, which they made us all sit on one table. That's the only thing I can remember thinking them doing, rather than, right, for instance, there was never any group meetings with midfielders where you go, right, you tell me, how would you work this out? Yeah. Well, Stevie's more defensive, he can come and play this role, or you can put Carrick in there. And so there wasn't, tactically, we didn't do enough. But whether that was a sign of the times, that just wasn't there. But I don't know. I think
from my point, Brian Robson was a superstar, obviously, and this is before Gazza got in. Even when Gazza got in, it was just about the fact that no one was treated any differently. Yeah. No one expected different treatment. You didn't look at them differently. So Brian Robson at Man United, and of course, we had, in terms of whether you're going to sit with each other or whatever, but when you were together, no. And I've heard stories, I don't know what you can tell me, in terms of the perception of different groups. Like if you're with David Beckham, then of course you are above other people, whereas that never happened at all. Brian Robson was England's captain, was never more important than Carlton Palmer if he was in the squad type of thing. Whereas I think it was more to do with the individual, either egos or the perception of certain individuals as opposed to others, as to whether there was favoritism, where there wasn't any of that at all. And of course, once Gareth has now come in and they're all young players with no big egos, then that has obviously gone. So I don't know, because when you were there, you had big characters as well, and maybe those characters felt more important than the lesser characters, so therefore either they were treated that way or they saw themselves different in that way. Yeah. Whereas when I played, even in 1990 when I was injured, and people were in the squad, Brian Robson or any other superstars could never be more important than anybody else in the squad. It was a big bond. There was none of that. Yeah. So I suppose maybe from that situation.
Do you know? Sorry, Lynn. Do you know what? Looking back, my era with England was very much led with that. David Beckham had emerged as this hybrid. Great player he was, and he was a good guy, but he was this thing that was bigger than the rest of the team, right? And never bothered me one bit.
And it wasn't his fault. This was just a situation, wasn't it?
He developed it. Beckham's the best I've seen in terms of building his brand.
Yeah.
I didn't. I didn't know what a brand was. I had no interest in any of the media stuff. I wanted to play football, right? So Beckham had this. So for instance, we'd go to Japan, and I'm telling you, people would be pushing Steven Gerrard and Michael Owen out the way to get to David Beckham. It was like being with Beatles, and then Sven, looking back now, he enabled that. Beckham had, it was like he was something separate to what a footballer was within a footballing unit. And I'm not blaming Becks for that, because
it's just a situation.
What Alex Ferguson, went, and we have to. David Beckham was one of the most fantastic players I've played with, so talented. But Alex Ferguson recognised that, and I thought
you could see where it was going. He decided this is not good for the collective.
Because he's a manager that recognises that you have to manage. You have to be in charge, and you have to manage the group. But with England, if you notice, for instance, every time we met up, there was it was just it was a bit. Looking back on it now, it was a bit of a show. It was because he was so famous Now, I wouldn't blame him for 1 second. Do you know what I mean? He's been a fantastic
It's
player.
not his fault. It's just a situation. Yeah.
Looking back, it needed to be managed
extra
better.
pressure on everyone else because of the attention.
Well, I'm sure there's some players in the squad.
An England player, but
listen, footballers have got egos, Lynsey. I'm sure there's some footballers in the squad who thought,
why is he getting that? Yeah. Especially, look at Steven Gerrard, who in my opinion was just a great footballer, of course. Different character to Bex, but he would see that and he'd be like, well, hang on a second, it should be about me as well.
Yeah, and I was like always that player. Like, I played 56 times in the country, but I was unfortunate that I played attacking midfield. So you had Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, David Beckham. So the 3 best players of the team all wanted to play attacking midfield. So there's only one other place in the midfield to get him. So I had to be better than everyone else. So just getting into the team and playing I was happy with. Do you know what I mean?
Look, that's why I have to give Joe credit. Because I tell you, when Joe played, from when he was at West Ham, when he first went to Chelsea, you're talking about being the number 10, the best player, the most skillful player. Then he was the hardest working midfield player for England. And he was the real disciplined one for England, which is not what you expect from him in terms of the way he plays, which is credit to him. Because as he said, with David Beckham doing what he wants the ball to do that. Frank just being an attacking midfield player. Now, what normally happens is attacking midfield players won't play in the central role because that's very important for you to sit in front of the back row and defend. And Joe would do a lot of that work, but from the left, because Frank would be getting in the box, Steve would be going down, and then Bex would be coming in, and then the amount of time Joe's chasing back, which is credit to Joe, but it's like, you're there to be doing what they're doing. So you recognise the fact that with this midfield 3, and I think a lot of it had to do with that, because I think as an individual player, Steven Gerrard's the best. As an attacking midfield player, Frank is, but when he played with Chelsea, he didn't have much defending to do, where Steven could do everything.
Yeah.
So Steven's doing that. Frank is getting in the box. Bex is on the right, putting crosses in, always wanted to get the ball and put crosses in. And now the Makalele in the team is Joe. You know what I mean?
Like on
defending and chasing back.
You've got to pick up all the slack.
Oh, yeah. Poor me, Lynsey.
all the hard work.
I've done all that hard work. Nobody patted me on the back. No.
That's why Mourinho loved him, because Mourinho doesn't like Joe Cole type of players who just want to dribble around players and so. But that's why Joe adapted his game and had the balance right.
Well, I wouldn't have played for Chelsea if I didn't adapt, and I wouldn't have won no trophies. So which is what you wanted to do. But
so, do you think you changed when Mourinho came into
for sure. I developed. I learned the other side of the game.
And you're willing to do it.
Yeah. And West Ham's a funny club as well, because West Ham, we're digressing now, going a bit off piece, but West Ham sort of allowed me to do
and Rio was the same when he come out with the ball and be Beckenbauer and stuff. Yeah.
So West Ham was a great breeding ground to learn your trade, to what a great team needs, and all the different aspects of it. It was a great education. But bringing it back to the England situation now, the circus seems to have stopped the last 6 or 7 years, and the players are all one and they're all together. So I have no doubt that they'll respond positively from this bad performance against Scotland. Then we have a good performance now, but whether we're good enough...
But I'll tell you, the interesting thing about that is because when you talk about the bond and the spirit now in the team and whatever, if you look back to the individual talent of the team he played in, you'd mentioned 4 players there straight away off the back. Then who was at the back? John Terry Rio, Ashley Cole. You look at them, and then you look at the individual players we have now, aren't nowhere near as good. But they're more of a group. So if that team, that's why they talk about the golden generation, could have really developed as a team rather than as egos. That was a fantastic team.
Until someone developes a time machine, it ain't going to happen, is it?
It's not. 15 years ago yesterday as well, since your wonder goal against Sweden, Joe. Let's talk about your amazing goal for England, your best one against Brazil, when you just dribble past the
I thought my best one was against Uruguay, but you haven't seen that one. The one against Uruguay.
What was the free kick? What was the game at Wembley, the free kick?
That's against Holland, but the Uruguay one was my favourite.
Is that your favourite?
And I chested it and half-volleyed it in the corner. The Brazil one, of course, is iconic. Maracana Stadium, the first time England won there. End of season game. The Brazilians didn't want to be there. We didn't want to be there. So the Brazilians were like, well, and somebody's going to attack them. They weren't even trying, were they? I think they were just drunk on the beach or something like that. It was like it was just, I mean, it was great to score, don't get me wrong. But looking at it, and I don't know how Joe feels, because he's actually obviously scored goals by dribbling and stuff like that. But every goal I've scored by dribbling, it's hard to actually remember, because what you're doing is you're reacting to people in front of you. Every free kick I've scored, I remember, because you consciously think, I want to bend the ball over the top. When you score a goal by dribbling, you're not thinking about what you want to do, because if I can't think I'm going to go that way, because if you go that way, I've got to do the opposite. So it's instinctively doing the opposite of what the defender does. So I'm not consciously thinking about what I'm doing. So you do it, then after you've scored, you kind of know it's a good goal, but you don't know what it looks like.
So when you watched it back,
so when I watched it back,
time,
it was like having an out-of-body experience. I think, I can't remember doing that at all. Because all you're doing is just like reacting to things in front of you. Then all of a sudden you're there. So you're not consciously thinking about it. So it looks better than it felt. It just felt like a lot of noise in my head, and people are in front of me and I couldn't see anybody. The first thing you do when you get a ball is look to pass, no matter what anyone says. After beating one person, you look to pass. If you can't see anyone to pass to, you have to keep dribbling. So that's what happened.
And let's talk about the quarter-final in 86 against Argentina at the Azteca. England 2-0 down. When you came on, though, John, about 15 minutes to go? You almost changed the game.
Forget all of that. Listen, I'm on the pitch with Diego Maradona. What more can anyone want?
But what was that like?
He's my favourite player ever. I was watching him. I was mesmerised by him. And I hope that people know I'm only joking when I say this in a little way. However, when he got the ball for his second goal, forget the handball, it took so much in me as being a lover of football when he scored the goal, not to go. It was just an incredible goal. I forgot that he was Argentine. When you see a goal like that and you see the quality that he actually has, you got to appreciate it. Of course, the hand and goal, but when he's dribbling and you just could not believe it. You know, we at the start of the game, everybody's like we're warming up in our own half, and you're kind of like warming up all 20 of us, and he's over there. And as much as you're warming up, you're kind of going, Maradona over there. He's walked to the centre of the circle. And he just walked looking at us with the ball on his arm. His players are warming up, and he gets the ball. And he kicks the ball 40 feet straight up in the air. As it comes back down, he's juggling. He kicks it up again, 40 feet in the air. Boom. You know, when you juggle and you juggle the ball even maybe this high. If you kick the ball 20 feet in and it comes back down, you can't kick it straight back up 20 feet. And he just did that about 5 times, caught the ball, and he looked at us and he just walked off.
These warm-ups were a work of art as well, weren't they? Do you think he's the greatest of all time?
I think, listen, it's hard to compare him to Messi and Ronaldo. No, it's not hard. It's impossible because different rules, different pitch, different ball, different...
People trying to break your leg. And what you always say is either that. If he played now, he would have adapted to Maradona. And if Messi and Ronaldo played back then, they would have adapted as well. Great players at any era is great. But I just can't imagine any player, because of course then you had Michel Platini and you had Gullit and Van Basten and all these great players. But when you have the so-called second greatest players and the greatest player is much better than them, that's why I don't think now with Messi and Ronaldo, who have been the top two for the last 10 years, I don't think you'd see that again. Because if Mbappe is the greatest, for example, is he really going to be better than the second greatest type of thing? So those two were so much better than everybody else. And Maradona was as well.
Do you think the fact with Mbappe, because he's going to have Haaland pushing him, it could help recreate a similar situation? You almost need that competition to drive you on.
I don't think we're going to see that level sustained for that long. I think Mbappe will get to a level where he's scoring 50, 60 goals a season. But how do these guys not get injured for one? How do they continue to do it? Messi's done it with different teammates. That pressure on the back of being the captain, talisman of Barcelona. I think these players will get close, but the beauty of what the current Ronaldo and Messi is the fact that it's happened over such a long period of time. That's just unbelievable.
Ronaldo just looks like he can keep going and going.
Why I don't think it's going to happen is because football has changed in that if you look at France, for example, you don't have this individual, not capability, but the individual thing whereby you are the superstar, just do whatever you want. So you look at Mbappe now playing for France and he's still working hard for the team. He doesn't just stand around and want to score goals. So I don't think you're going to have a situation whereby any one player is going to be given license to just be the best player. You know what I mean? Because you have to work hard for the team, and the team's not playing well, you've got to work hard defensively. Whereas Ronaldo and Messi in the last 10 years have really been...
That's a good point, because as well with Maradona, he was like... I'm trying to search for the right words. It was like more than a footballer, wasn't it? Like you said, it was a show. Like I remember him 1990 when he's walking out in Italy.
It was all about him.
And the cameras are on him, and he led. And he was just such a character and his personality. And
the players put up with that, and the players allowed him to do that. Now the difference now is that we have now got a re-emergence, which is very important, particularly in club football, of the manager being the most important one. So therefore, for Liverpool, no matter who you are, Klopp's the most important one. With Man City, Pep's the most important one. In the past, Messi and Ronaldo were the most important ones, even at their clubs. Whereas now, there's no one other club when you have a big manager, and the big manager now coming back into the fore, whereby he's going to allow a superstar player, not from a jealousy point of view, but the point of view of understanding that it really is about the team. So I don't think you're going to have this individual superstar like a Messi and Ronaldo anymore. Mbappe will be the closest, or Neymar, but...
Imagine that like Neymar and Mbappe and that PSG team, that must be a tough group to
well, they've seen off so many managers because it is that situation where they don't have that where the manager is the most important person. It happens time and time again.
Regardless of who goes to Chelsea now, because and a lot of managers are now looking at those players. Obviously, you're going to get a Messi who's going to win the fine, but if you look at Klopp, he wouldn't want players like that. And Tuchel is exactly the same.
And these are top managers who haven't been able to get a grip of it. John, it's time for what really happened, and this is where we look back on a moment of your career that we want to know more about. And of course, it is the England rap. Rumour has it you were a bit tipsy when you recorded it.
No, I wasn't.
Professional.
We were
I don't know where that came from. Then.
smashed, not a bit tipsy. Flipping tipsy, please. What am I? I was going to say we can edit this bit out. What am I? 12-year-old girl. Edit that bit, okay?
How smashed were you?
We all were. Listen, when we made an album in 1986.
An
Thanks
album?
for buying it. Yeah. Everyone remember 1990? We made an album, 86 World Cup album.
Yeah.
Tulips in Amsterdam was on the album.
Yeah.
The single, Viva España. Yeah. Because, of course, the World Cup was in Mexico. The World Cup was in Mexico. But they speak Spanish in Mexico. We thought that would be the single. We forgot that, obviously. Because back then, listen, they speak Spanish, Viva España. So we did an
You should have done Loco and Acapulco.
Yeah.
Acapulco.
Yeah.
But, so the thing about it was terrible, right? So, now finished. 1990 comes along. Barbara Robson says, right, we're going to do another record. Now, everyone remember 1986 and how terrible that was. So what happened, as Joe will know, you play for your club and say, this is the February, World Cup's coming up. February, we're going to make this song. And we're playing Germany on the Wednesday in a friendly. And Barbara Robson said, instead of coming to the hotel and joining up on the Sunday, you don't have to come till Monday, but you've got to go and make this record on Sunday. Now, we didn't know it was going to be New Order with a group. We thought it was going to be like 86 or FA Cup final songs where the lads put their arm around each other and go, here we go, which is rubbish. Yeah. So the players then said, well, we aren't going to meet up on Sunday because we didn't like meeting up on Sunday because Sunday is when you should go to the pub.
Yeah.
And when we met up on Sunday with England, we always tried to sneak out at 10 o'clock at night anyway, whereas now we've given license not to meet up on Monday, but go and do the record on Sunday. The players remembered 1986, the record. We didn't know it was going to be with New Order. So they said, we're not going to turn up for the song because we can just go to the pub. So only 6 people turned up for the record. Me, Gaza, Peter Beardsley, Chris Waddle, Des Walker, Steve McMahon. No one else turned up.
And had you been at the pub before you got to the studio?
No, because we were the disciplined ones. So the rest of the players just went off to wherever they went and we met up on the Monday. But because Bobby Robson said to us, we're the disciplined one. Don't know why Gaza was there, but he turned up anyway.
So where did you get drunk? In the studio?
Oh, yeah. There's Keith Allen and New Order there. Of course, there's going to be wine and beer and stuff like that. But the point I make is when we then got there and we saw these other people who were New Order, it then transpired it's a New Order song. So it's going to be a good song. So we did it. Of course, when it got to number 1, you saw all the players on the video, didn't you? Including Bobby Robson himself. But no one, we are the only 6 who turned up to do the song because the rest of them went to the pub. So the song's now finished. There's no rap because New Order on a rap group. But because everyone had a few drinks, Keith Allen was there. He said, why don't we just put a rap in it? So they just wrote the rap. The rap wasn't supposed to be in it, so he wrote a rap.
So you just wrote it there and there?
Yeah, Keith Allen did. So it's like, and Craig Johnson was there, he's quiet, and the rest of them just wrote this little thing. Because New Order on a rap group, so why is there a rap in it? But because we're having a laugh, he said, write the rap. So, because it's a democracy, as we all know, as much as I know I'm the best rapper. But anyway, we all have to have a go. So Gaza was the first to have a little go at the rap, and of course...
Please don't tell me Peter Beardsley had a go at the rap.
Please tell me there's some footage of these... Of the
the video of it, yeah.
I'd love to.
So Gaza couldn't read the words because Gaza, you know what I mean. So it's like, so no. So then Peter Beardsley went next. You know, Peter is my best mate, but Peter, anyway. So Peter went next. So Peter's rapping was Geordie-like, as you know. Steve McMahon being a Scouser, he wasn't great. Chris Waller being another Geordie, so it's between me and Des is not black musically. I can tell you. Sorry, Des. So I did the rap. So then, of course. And don't forget, we don't know how the song's going to do. And really, then the World Cup came along. We didn't even know back home what was happening because we're there. And of course, Gazamania, everything's going well. So of course, we then did a live link up as they do now and again in the World Cup with back home, top of the pops, sort of stuff. Oh, the record's gone to number 1. Of course, all of the players were there, weren't they? Oh yeah, the record on the video and stuff like that. So, but the interesting thing about it was then we had to then decide, and don't forget, this is in the February, and Joe will know, you get paid well when you play for your club. When you play for England, you get an appearance fee, but it's nothing like the salary you get with your club. But you make more money in the World Cup by a pool. You have a players' pool where money comes in from, you know, the suits and then interviews, and you all share the money. So the agent came to us and he said, you've got a choice. And don't forget, this is in the February. This is before we even knew the song. He said, you've got a choice of going for royalties for the song. This is before the song was made, before we knew it was going to be New Order, before anything. Go for, and remember 1986, going for royalties, or £5,000 being paid into the pool to be shared between the 25 of you.
John.
So the committee of the brain boxes, you know, those players, we didn't have agents back then. It was just up to us. That's how we all signed these contracts, because they used to go sign this, lad.
Yeah.
And Brian Robson and Peter Shilton and all of the intelligent ones, they said to the agent, does royalties mean if you don't sell one record, you make no money? And I went, yeah. So they said, we'll take the $5,000.
John, that would have been like your Slade Merry Christmas.
Although in saying that, what then happened, transpired in about 2002, I got a phone call from a company called Royalties R Us. They said, you're going to get royalties because you featured in the song.
You perform
we didn't
on it.
so we didn't sign a royalties agreement. And I said, no, we didn't sign a royalties agreement. So no, because you featured, you're going to get royalties. So we investigated. So I got my first check because they didn't retrospectively go back to 1990. They just did it from when the World Cup, from 2002. So I got my first check. I was all excited. It came through the post. I thought, flipping number one for how many months all over Europe? 750 quid was it? Because they weren't playing in 2002, were they? And then they were going to re-release it in 2014. And it was like, go on, re-release it.
You got to push for the World Cup.
But the problem they had when they were going to re-release it and put Tiny Temper doing My Flipping Rap. Can you believe that? Tiny.
That's
so
absurd.
We said we can't do that. But Bernie Sumner and Peter Hook apparently from New Order don't get on with each other, so we're not going to re-release it anymore.
Really?
You must have you done a song?
I've never done a song. No.
FA Cup Chelsea.
Never done a song.
Because every FA Cup final as well.
About that. I love World in Motion. Like I can't listen to that song without instantly being transported into my bedroom as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old watching that World Cup.
But what about?
I loved it.
But so the FA Cup final, they always get summed up and they stopped, didn't it?
Yeah. It all stopped. I played our first cup final.
Was it even mentioned? Let's do a song for the cup final.
Not even mentioned. No, nothing. I mean, I remember going to watch Chelsea and Suggs, who I know done the Chelsea song Blue Day, and nothing. I'm gutted.
Can you sing? Can you do the
I'm
rap?
a bit of a karaoke man, Lynsey.
Did John teach you the rap in Portugal?
We did. There's actually some footage.
Alcohol helps, actually.
Yeah, and I actually sung the rap Wednesday night.
Let's hear
come
it
on in
then.
the restaurant. No, Lynsey, come on, you can't do that.
Don't embarrass him.
We got the main man.
You got to hold and give, but do it at the right time. You can be slow or fast, but you must get to the line. They'll always hit you and hurt you. Defend and attack. There's only one way to beat them. Get round the back. So catch me if you can, cause I'm the England man. And what you're looking at is the master plan. We ain't no hooligans. This ain't a football song. 3 lions on my chest. I know we can't go wrong. Playing for England.
England.
Joe, I thought you didn't know it. No, I don't know. You got to.
Oh, I love it. I wish I was on that Portugal trip now. I tell you what.
It was good. I know, but there is some footage of me doing it Wednesday night with the lads. So, love the song. Gutted I'd never done one.
It was only a good song because of New Order, really. It wasn't an England song. It was a New Order song.
It was only a good song because of the Barnsey rap.
Well, no, to be honest with you, I felt sorry for them because everyone forgets it's a New Order song. You don't know if it's a proper group because we did one in 1990, but they got all the money anyway, so I'm not really bothered.
John, we're going to get some Euro 2020 predictions from you now. I still can't get used to the fact we're still calling it Euro 2020. No. What's your prediction for Portugal-France?
France victory. Yeah, Portugal could still go through. I mean, because if you saw the game against Hungary, 3-0, but it was 84 minutes 0-0. You know, and that because they have that individual quality, they can always do that. But then you saw them against Germany, and Germany tore them apart and could have scored even more because defensively they still haven't got that balance right. As much as you got, Fernandes and Ronaldo, obviously, and Bernardo Silva, they've got great players, but defensively not got it right. So I think France will win. I don't think they'll score many goals. I don't think France are going to score many goals in a tournament.
Didier Deschamps. Mbappe or Benzema haven't scored yet,
but the thing about it is that when you play for France and Didier Deschamps, your first responsibility is for the team to work after the team. And if you score 1 goal, as we did against Germany, we're not going to concede. And remember the last World Cup. So France are on a team. They've got so many great attacking players. They manage their game well. So I think they'll beat Portugal, but I don't think they're going to be many goals.
Joe, Portugal, France, Wednesday night.
I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be a draw. And I can see all 3 teams going through that grid. That would leave Portugal on 4 points, France on 5 points, and I think the Germans will beat Hungary and give themselves 6. So I think they're all 3 will go through, which is bad news for England because it would have been nice to get one of them out. I think that I got a sneaky feeling as well. Fernandes might find himself left out by the Portuguese manager. I don't think he operates well not being the alpha dog in the team. I think he's one of them players that needs that. Until Ronaldo hangs his boots up, he's always going to be second fiddle.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just annoying that the games are on at the same time now, isn't it? That's the thing with Germany on at the same time. And of course, every match matters with Coral. So what are your predictions for Russia against Denmark tonight at 8 o'clock?
Well, if it hadn't been in Russia, I'd go for a Russia win. But being in Denmark and, the whole Christian Eriksen situation, great performance in the last game, which will give them hope as much as they lost, knowing a win will actually send them through. If Belgium beat Finland as we expect, I'll go for a Denmark victory.
I think every non-Russian wants to see Denmark do it, don't they?
No, I think it'll galvanise them. I think playing at home will be massive. I think we've shown it's massive in this tournament. So, yeah, I'd like to see them go through for the sake of the group and the country, because that was harrowing what happened to Christian for outsiders. So to be part of that group and that to happen. So I want to see them progress, and I'm sure they will.
And finally, John, tomorrow night at Wembley, England against the Czech Republic. What's your prediction?
An England win. But once again, I think Czech, they're a difficult side. They're big, they're physical, they're strong, set pieces, they're good. They've got a good organisation. So I think they give England problems. But I think that, once again, I don't know what the team's going to be, but we have so many good individuals that I can't see all of them not performing, regardless of whether it's Grealish or Sterling or so. So I expect us to not necessarily outplay them, but I think that because of our individual talent, we'll come through.
Tomorrow night, I think England will play sublime. I think it will be a similar situation to... Now, listen, I'm ever the optimist, but I think it's going to be Euro 96... Holland-like performance from England. I think things are going to click. Harry will get a couple of goals. I'd like to see Harry Maguire come back in the team, because I think he's going to be vital.
I'd love to see Jude Bellingham get a game and see how he does in the midfield.
Yeah, he may even get a game. I think Gareth will change 4 or 5 players around, but I think this group will bounce back. These are tough boys.
Hope you're right. Like that prediction. Well, Portugal are 13-5 to beat France on Wednesday. If you fancy Denmark to beat Russia 3-0, Coral will give you odds of 12-1. And if you like the sound of a 2-0 England win with Harry Kane as the first goal scorer, it is 10-1.
Great bet.
John, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Absolutely lovely to see you.
Great to have you.
No, it's always good.
Really great. Joe, thanks as always. Great to see you. Do as well find us on Wednesday on the Joe YouTube channel, or wherever you find your podcast. We'll have all the reaction and analysis after that England game against the Czech Republic. You've been listening to the All to Play For podcast, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
You've been watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.